pathways, which is going to be the aviation and automobile pathway. And we have such a wonderful panel of professionals and educators that are going to be with us that can be able to answer questions and share their experiences with us. I will say that our pathway, and I'm wearing their shirt today, this is the Aviation Pathway shirt. We work with National Lewis University down in Aurora, roughly Joliet, Aurora area, and they have an outstanding university that just provides wonderful aviation instruction. They have for pilots and for mechanics, every aspect of the aviation industry, including air traffic control. They have a great program down there, and 214 has been just blessed to have them as a partner with this program. And on the automotive side, it's unlimited. I mean, we work with all the major automotive companies and in dealerships in the area. We have connections far reaching, and we have so many professionals that have left 214 as students and now working in this industry. So we are just truly blessed with great knowledge and great opportunities here. So I'd like to, if you could, Stacy, go to slide number 2. And by the way, this is the wonderful Stacy over at Forest View. She is helping us with this. We have a great panel here. I don't know if I've seen Chris Stevens yet, but hopefully he is on this Zoom. He comes to us from Lewis University, as I mentioned. He is the instructor at Lewis University that does our pathway for District 214 students. He is a professor over there. And we are blessed to have Amy here. Amy is a pilot from Southwest Airlines, and we look forward to hearing from her. We have Jack, who is the technical crew chief and aircraft maintenance person from American Airlines. And we also have Gary, who also works at the same, well, Gary did. He just got done sharing with me that Gary retired recently, but he is also retired from American Airlines. And thank you for sharing some of your time in your retirement to be with us. I haven't seen George yet. I hope George is here. He works out at Chicago Executive Airport, formerly known Pewaukee Airport, for those of us that have lived around here for a while. And he will also be able to answer some questions. And then we have some great 214 staff, and we're just so lucky to have such great teachers within this district that really pull this stuff off. We have Sean Marin from Buffalo Grove. We have Kyle Pitchett from Buffalo Grove, and we have Jim Van Bladel from Buffalo Grove. All three of these teachers are technology teachers and work with students in the automotive pathway. Jim's got his shirt on too. And they also work in the technology program. So they do auto and also technology classes. So Stacy, if you could advance to the last slide, or there's actually 2 more. So this is the pathway, and I encourage all those that are on the Zoom right now. It's kind of quick to go through these, especially being a Zoom, and I don't want to take up all the time of this session going through each one of these classes. So I really encourage you to go to our website. This is published on the District 214 website, and you can see the different classes that you need to take within this pathway. So aviation, we clearly have Project Lead the Way in there, and we have the Aviation Academy at Chicago Executive, to point out just a few. But please take some time to get familiar with this pathway, and you can also always reach out to your wonderful counselor within your high school that you attend. So with that, if you could advance one more slide, Stacy. Automotive, once again, we are just so lucky to have great automotive labs. I probably should have been broadcasting from Jim Van Bladel's automotive lab, and if you saw it, it is just spectacular. It has been completely redone. And it's just a facility like no other. And by the way, Buffalo Grove also has the same, and so do all of the schools in 214, Elk Grove and Rolling Meadows and Prospect. We are just so lucky to have it. So I once again encourage you to go to the website and take a look at the coursework that is involved for you to be part of this pathway. There are just great opportunities there. So with that, I think we're done with the slides. Is that it? Then Wonderful. So that brings us all back together, one big happy family. I'd like to start out with Amy. Amy is the Southwest Airlines pilot, and she just got done telling us she flies 737s, which I believe is the only plane that Amy or Southwest has, which is kind of a neat business model. But she had some slides in which she was going to share with us.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Excellent. All right. So I wanted to bring pictures because pictures are always better, I think. And that's me. I got to meet John Hersey when I was at John Hersey High School. So I'm one of you. And I was also a parent of 2 Hersey graduates. So no matter who you are today, well, I've been in your shoes. That's me at work. That's my office. That's my office window. And that's the inside of the office. So I was asked to tell you a little bit about a day at work. Southwest does fly domestically, but as you can see, we also go down to Central America and in the Caribbean. This is my logbook. These are all flights that I've actually made in my lifetime. And this is a recent trip I did. And if you noticed, I got out of Chicago for beautiful sunny California, which is one of the great things about being in my profession. I don't have to stay here. When I start my job, I have to go find my airplane, as in, dude, where's my jet? So I have a schedule. This is the app I have on my phone, and I can figure out where my plane is and where I'm going. When I get there, because I work for a big company, the flight has been planned for me, but you always have to plan your flight. You need to know how long you're going to be up in the sky, how much fuel you're going to need, and the maintenance status of this aircraft, which I know we have a couple mechanics here. This one's good. Everything's working perfectly. We always have to check the weather. This looks like it would have been an interesting flight to take, right? I think a lot of you are familiar with what weather radar looks like, and all the green on that slide is a bunch of rain. It's a big frontal system. And if your mission that day was to go from Chicago to Boston, this would be interesting. And you have some problems to solve as you fly. Here's the crew. I don't work alone. I always have another pilot I fly with. And I also have people in the cabin behind me who are called flight attendants. The barrier to being a flight attendant is much lower than it is to being a pilot. So if you think you want to do a flight crew kind of job and maybe pilot isn't the right one for you, flight attendant is an amazing career, and you can go around the world in the cabin. And we have flight attendants of all different ages, all different backgrounds. Some of them are retired school teachers. That's to you, Buffalo Grove guys. Saw y'all here. So here we are. You might notice I keep flying with the same guy. That's actually my husband. He flies for Southwest as well. And he made the slideshow, so he put himself in here a lot. So how did I get to be me? Well, first I learned how to fly small planes. This is actually at Chicago Executive, and it was called Pewaukee back then. I became a person who taught other people how to fly airplanes because I was all civilian in my training. I didn't go to the military at all. I gained a lot of different flying experience. That's my daughter, now a Hersey graduate. I flew her around. Got to fly many different kinds of airplanes. The usual answer is if someone has a cool airplane and they say, you want to go for a ride, you say, yes. And this is an old World War II trainer I got to fly in. I became an airline pilot and I flew a much smaller airplane. This is a Beech 1900, which is kind of a giant King Air. It's a turboprop. And I'm holding the prop so it doesn't accidentally smack some passenger in the head. It's a story. I still go to school every year. So as being an airline professional, I have to study. We practice our emergencies, all of them. We practice sitting in the life raft. Here I am. And we get to spend 3 days in the flight simulator being tested and evaluated. It's the coolest, most amazing real life video game in the world. And it's grueling, but it's always fun. And of course, we get to fly the real airplanes too. That's the MAX, by the way. I have flown the MAX numerous times. And I'm going to close with the view from my office window. This is the Grand Canyon. It is a family joke, but something that's very true that I think I do actually take a picture every time I fly over it because it's always, always beautiful. And this is a sunset. I usually fly in the evenings. They tell me sunrises are beautiful too, but I don't know. So you guys who are maybe morning runners can tell me about that. I did want to add two quick things. First of all, if you are old enough to drive a car, you are old enough to solo a powered aircraft. This is true. All you have to do is be 16. And if you're old enough to be in high school, you're old enough to fly a balloon or a glider. You're welcome, parents.
Well, I see them driving in our parking lot at Hershey sometimes, and I don't know if they are old enough to drive. So, but that's just my little side note. But thank you for all that you do, Amy. I do appreciate Southwest and getting on the planes. With that, I'd like to pose a question to our aircraft maintenance individuals, both Gary and Jack, who work for American Airlines. And tell me a day in your life, and tell me what students would want to know. If you were sitting in their chairs at home and they're young, and what should you tell them?
I don't know if Jack is still on, but I'll go. It starts off with a cup of coffee. You always got to have a cup of coffee, and that goes without saying. It's a very challenging and a very rewarding career. You have different problems every day. Some days you might be changing tires. Another day you might be troubleshooting an autopilot system. You could be working on an overhaul facility where you might have to take the airplane basically apart and put it back together again. You could be working under time constraints, trying to make departure time. If you're working at the gate, which I'm sure Amy is familiar with, you always want to make on-time departure and make sure the aircraft is safe and airworthy at the same time. Or you could be working at the hangar where you basically can do overnight checks. You can delve into systems a little more deeply, whether it's a hydraulic system or pneumatic system. You constantly go to school. You're trained on new airplanes. You're trained on different aircraft systems. I got my start in the military some 40 plus years ago working on R-2800s, which is a piston and cylinder type airplane. It's round with 18 cylinders. And I just retired from American in May, and I ended my career working on the 787-9. So that's quite a span of aircraft I've seen. It's a very, like I say, very interesting and very rewarding career. You'll work in various elements. You'll work outside, you'll work at night, you'll work under the stars. Very similar to Amy's office window, except she has glass. We don't. You're outside in the big hangar. And I enjoyed my career at American immensely.
A typical day for me, like Gary said, starts out with coffee, but as a troubleshooter and an instructor, I find that I tend to work with the new hire mechanics quite a bit. One of my jobs is teaching them how to operate the airplane and understand how it functions. And what I like to tell students is if you like working with your hands and solving puzzles, aviation can be a very interesting and rewarding career. Anything that says American on the side of it, I'm qualified to work on, and most of our mechanics are multi-fleet qualified. With the 787, you're seeing probably the pinnacle of aviation technology for commercial airlines. You've got fiber optics, you've got data networks, you've got a carbon fiber composite fuselage that is driven by computers. It is not like the 727s and DC-9s that I started my career on. And what I like to tell students is, depending on what you really like to do, I've been a professional mechanic for 40 years. I've worked on 90 years worth of technology. So when I got my license, I worked on airplanes that were built in the 30s and 40s. And now that I'm a little bit farther along in my career, I'm working on the latest technology that Boeing produces. So if you like working with modern technology, if you like working with antique aircraft, if you like working with your hands, and delving into technical problems and getting the satisfaction of seeing what you've worked on during the day or during the night take off and leave. It's a very rewarding career. It's financially rewarding, it's personally rewarding. Not everybody works outside. There are many, many different aspects of aircraft maintenance that one can go into. And I have enjoyed all of it. And unlike Gary, I've still got a few more years to go before I get to retire. And if I wasn't still having fun, it would be a very difficult job to, wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning. If I didn't have fun, it would be a challenge getting there every day. So I enjoy, it's surprising me how much fun I enjoy having kids come to the hangar and doing tours and doing career nights and telling young people about, the different opportunities that are available in aircraft maintenance. And like Amy said, she goes to school 4 times a year. We go to school continuously. It's almost on a monthly basis. We're always learning something new. There's always something new being added to the aircraft. And we work on airplanes that are manufactured by Airbus, by Boeing, Rolls-Royce engines, General Electric engines. It is awe-inspiring, and it is very fulfilling and rewarding to constantly being able to learn and enjoy the job you have, and the satisfaction of seeing a jet carrying 400 people taking off and safely completing its trip. It has just been a ton of fun, and I'm at a point in my career where I really enjoy explaining to young people the different possibilities that are out there.
I'll tell you, one of the takeaways that I took from your, thank you for your gracious information, is how many years the two of you have, and what a great industry that you can stay into, that is going to be there for a long time. In like you said, retraining is such a big deal, and all the education that you have to do, which brings me to Chris Stevens, which is the professor out at Lewis University that works within our aviation pathway here with 214. Chris, share with the young people that are on this Zoom what Lewis can offer and what this aviation pathway can offer.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. And before I do that, I just wanted to just say to everybody, look how happy those people were talking about their jobs. I know they said they enjoy their jobs and whatnot, but you could see it. You could almost feel it through your computer screen, how excited they are to talk about what they do. And that's everybody that I've met in aviation through my years doing this. I'm an A&P mechanic. I actually work on Cessna 172s and Piper Seminoles for the university. And this pathway is something I'm very excited about, because when I was in high school, I didn't have these opportunities. I went to a Catholic college prep high school on the south side of Chicago, and they taught you how to study for tests and be successful in school. They didn't tell you, hey, here are some career opportunities. Let me just put this into perspective. You all can take part in this Aviation Academy program where you can go to Chicago Executive Airport to go to class every day. My escape from a traditional classroom was going to pottery class every day. I'm waiting for all the teachers to start laughing at how ridiculous that is. So what we can offer and what we do with District 214 is a few things. So I get started with students who are freshman, sophomore, junior level, who are thinking, maybe this is something I want to do. And if you go to the District 214 website and look at the Academy pathway, it all starts with intro. And Kyle Pitchick, I'm going to butcher this. You want to go ahead and tell me the class again?
It's Intro to Engineering Design.
Thank you. So Intro to Engineering Design, and then you go into Project Lead the Way Aerospace Engineering. And that's where we start to dabble in different aviation topics. And then the last year, so your senior year of high school, you can take part in the Aviation Academy. And that does require an application to District 214 and an application to Lewis University. Once you apply and have been accepted, you can get up to 6 credit hours or 7 credit hours, depending on which part of the aviation pathway you participate in. Lewis University and District 214 have expanded to teach both mechanic courses and pilot related courses. So students can take private pilot ground school while they are in high school and have the ground session. So it's not flight training related, but the ground knowledge that you need in order to be a successful private pilot. We also offer aviation fundamentals along with drafting and blueprint design for the mechanics side. Those are identical courses to what are taught at Lewis University. So you will receive a college transcript at the end that is transferable to different colleges, especially aviation schools across the country. So it's a head start on college, but I want you to think about it as this is a start to see if it's something I want to do. And we want you to start that while you're in high school, because something that we didn't mention before, but obviously we have to, aviation is an expensive hobby to get into. Especially if you want to become a pilot. There is a lot of funding that you need on the front end to get your flight training, but there is also, and this is something that a lot of students these days don't try to do as often, there's a lot of scholarship money out there to help you with that. There are even scholarships through organizations like the EAA, which is the Experimental Aircraft Association, the University Aviation Association. There are other organizations out there that will help you pay for your private pilot certificate. So these are some things that you could do outside of Lewis University before you even leave District 214. So whatever high school you're at, if you wanted to participate in this program, we can go more into detail at another time. I'm actually doing another presentation, I believe at the 7:50 session with someone from Prospect High School. So we'll be talking more about the details of this.
Chris, just before I move to Kyle, so you're on deck, Kyle. What's the job prospects leaving your university?
The job prospects are incredible. Most of the pilots, they will probably graduate with about 25% of the hours that they need in order to fly for the airlines. The way that they'll get those is usually by being hired by Lewis University. They will become, like Amy showed in her presentation, certified flight instructors. So they'll be teaching other students how to fly. That will get them to the RATP minimum. And again, we'll get into that information in the other session of 1,000 hours. So they will be at about 1,000 flight hours and go to work for a regional carrier. Every year, the Boeing company releases a report of how many pilots, maintenance technicians, and other crew are available, or positions available over about the next 20 years. The number has risen to over 1.5 million people in 20 years. So the opportunity, and that's almost 50-50 now between AMTs, aircraft maintenance technicians, and pilots. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. Usually the pilot jobs, you start off at those regional carriers like Amy mentioned, then you move your way up to the Uniteds and American, Southwest, Deltas. Whereas with the mechanics, you're doing something similar. You're going to a regional carrier for, and to be honest, with some of my friends that have graduated from Lewis University over the last 5 to 10 years, they're spending 1 to 2 years at those regional carriers before they're at American, Delta, or United. So there's some great opportunities, and something that a lot of people don't know is that AMTs, and sorry guys, I'm gonna put your big secret out there, they get paid fairly well. There's a good financial gain to being a mechanic in the airlines. And it is because of what Jack was talking about and the fact that these are not your typical machines anymore. And when I saw the 787 at American Airlines hangar, I couldn't believe the size of the computers on those engines. Was it four big computers per engine, Jack, if I'm correct?
It was 4 big boxes, but there's actually about 30 computers on there. A lot smaller than your desktop computer, but there are multiple processing units inside those cases to operate all the various components. And I would just like to add on to your job prospects. Right now, American is taking people right out of A&P school. There's that big a shortage of AMTs.
That's amazing. I definitely want to transition into auto in like one moment, but Kyle, if you could give us a brief rundown of Project Lead the Way Aviation, that would be wonderful for the young kids in the audience here.
Yeah, and first too, the big thing is, Chris was saying too about to be excited, not meeting Jack and Gary and Amy here today and stuff, I can tell right away that they get excited. I got extremely excited from their presentations alone, and Chris and I, you and I have had multiple conversations over the last couple of years with our partnership and stuff. And my biggest thing is to get the kids, I would say kind of interested and excited. But all I have to do now is just show this presentation. And if that doesn't get them excited, I don't know really what is. Day in and day out with stuff that we do in, the aerospace industry in the aerospace class that I teach, obviously is getting them prepared for this next step, right? So, I'm just this small cog in this whole big works of everything that we have going on here. And in our class, we do stuff with gliders, we do stuff with airplanes, we do stuff with rockets. But again, focusing specifically on the pathway side, it's just getting you to kind of have the general understanding of, hey, is this something that's viable that you're wanting to do? We just had a group of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I told them that I was having this presentation tonight, and I think those kids were really excited about it, and they're even, years back. To hear Chris, talk about that and stuff, and you have to correct me what the number I hit. We always joke about, the number of people when you get on an aircraft, you go from one airport to the next, and how many people are involved. The fact that number is over 50 people right now says very highly, and I think it's even closer to 100 if I'm not correct, right, Chris? We've had this conversation.
The general rule of thumb is it takes 80 people to get an airplane off the ground.
Wow. So right there, there's every time I get on an aircraft and go somewhere, that's 80 people that are responsible from point A to point B. And that's just one plane in one airport in one small snippet of the world. Now scale that out. There are your opportunities, everybody that's on here, and that gets me excited. That's what I constantly tell my students. You never know what it's going to be. It could be like Dan said, Mr. Logan said earlier, that you go on a certain path and then you go a different direction later on. The more you can expose yourself, and that's what we're really trying to do, is getting you exposed to these awesome opportunities. So that way we have the future of this, this path.
That's outstanding. Thank you. And I also want to mention that Kyle teaches aerospace engineering at Buffalo Grove, but all of the schools in 214 offer that course. So you may just think it's from Buffalo Grove, but all of them, all within the 214 schools, you have an opportunity to sign up for that. So please talk to your counselor. I'd like to transition now to our second topic, which is automotive technology. And we are just blessed to have two great teachers, instructors, one from Buffalo Grove, Sean Marin, and one from Hersey, Jim Van Blato. And please, which one of you would like to kick it off? I'll leave it up to you, and tell us about the automotive program within our District 214s. And then I'll pose another question, and that would be the future growth of it. So let's start with tell me about the program in 214 and what it has to offer.
You or me, Sean?
I'll start. I'll let you do the next question.
Perfect.
Excellent. I'm Sean Murn over at Buffalo Grove High School. I've been teaching automotive classes for 28 years. And, just as we've heard from the aviation side, boy, has the automobile changed. And as you see all the commercials with the electric vehicles, there's all kinds of computers in there, but that's for another day. Our programs at the 214 schools involve multiple different levels of classes. So we run a personal auto class all the way through a vocational dual credit college class, as well as an internship where students can leave the school during the day and work in a dealership or local garage. So we offer a large variety of different classes available. But one of the advantages that I think 214 has is what we said also on the aviation side, the opportunities that 214 gives to the students in the district is just outstanding. And being able to take advantage of even some of them is an amazing opportunity. Our intro level classes are designed for everyone, whether it's an aviation student because they just need to do a basic checklist and basic knowledge of an airplane, to a hobbyist who just wants to save some money working on their own car, to a career technician that's going to put 30 plus years in the automotive industry. So we really cater to the student and not just about the automobile. It's about the student and what the student can gain out of it. So that's our entry level classes. It's geared to everyone. And then from there, like I said, we can go year 2, year 3, the kids can get a college dual credit out of Triton. And that's more for our more serious students that have identified automotive as a potential career choice that they really want to take in moving on in the future. So we tailor to the student, not just here's information about a car. It's tailored to the student to allow that student to gain the knowledge they want to gain to move in the direction that they want to move. And I don't want to necessarily bore you with all the specifics, but that's what I want everybody to know. It's tailored to the student. Mr. Van Bladel, what do you have to add to that?
No, I think that was good. Yeah, 100% tailored to the kid. And we've got students that take autos because they like cars. They like reading car magazines, watching, I almost said Fast and
Top
Furious because
Gear.
I'm old.
Top Gear.
Yeah, that's old too now. They're watching Donut Media. There we go. Or any of those things. They just like cars because they're loud, because they're fast, because they're cool. We've got those kids. We've got kids that want to build cars and want to learn how to build. We've built race cars and lifted trucks, and we're building a sound system right now for a vehicle for SEMA at Hersey. There's stuff for those kids. I've got kids that are working on diesels, working for Cummins in Indiana at like the career level at Cummins, not working on a Cummins. They're working for Cummins in a lab in a white coat, designing the next generation of Cummins engines. So there's kind of as many options as you can imagine in the automotive industry. That's where you can go, and you can start that in high school, just kind of having fun, learning how brakes work, and then it can go anywhere you want it to go from there. So, all right, sorry about that. Lud,
No, that's outstanding. I was on mute there for a minute. These guys are selling themselves a little short too. I really got to just put in a plug for these two programs. In all of the auto programs within 214, they're not exaggerating when they talk about the kids that have been places. I mean, we have students from Hersey at the GM Proving Grounds, and Sean has them in General Motors and Ford and Chrysler. It is staggering how far our reach is.